Guess what, y'all? It's Grisha Day. Ooh! Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be giving you my spoilery and non-spoilery review of the Shadow and Bone series that just premiered on Netflix. I'm going to be giving you my non-spoilery review first, and then I will get into the vlog clips that I filmed as well as my spoilery thoughts and opinions at the end of the video. So if you just want a general review of the show without any spoilers, this section is going to be for you. The Shadow and Bone series is based off of a set of books. I think everyone on this community probably knows this, but in case you don't, it's based off of a trilogy by Lee Bardugo, the Shadow and Bone trilogy, or the Grisha verse. There are currently 7 books in the entirety of the series, and the Shadow and Bone series just follows the first book, so if you just wanted to read one of the books before diving in, you would just have to read the first book, which is aptly named Shadow and Bone. On a whole, I gave this series a 3.75 stars out of 5. I really enjoyed it as a book reader and someone who has read the entirety of the book series. I have some gripes with it, but overall I think it's a fun and fast-paced fantasy show that is perfect for people who have enjoyed Game of Thrones in the past, who have enjoyed other YA books, other YA fantasies. I think the show is an amazing adaptation, especially considering the source material. It is as faithful as the first season of Game of Thrones compared to the first Game of Thrones book, Game of Thrones, where it's pretty much beat for beat the exact same. With the addition of a separate plotline, the content of the book Shadow and Bone is portrayed accurately and in depth on the show. So if that is something that's important to you when it comes to adaptations or TV shows, that is something that is true. If you've only read the Six of Crows duology, you can still get a lot of enjoyment in it because the crows are present. Almost all of the crows are present. There is only one who isn't actually featured in the show. So if you're looking for crows content, or you're worried you're not going to understand Shadow and Bone because you have only read the Six of Crows duology, I would not worry. The Six of Crows characters are there. However, the story of the Six of Crows does not follow what happens in the book Six of Crows. Plotlines that are put into the Shadow and Bone TV series are entirely different than the ones that are in the actual show Six of Crows book. If that makes sense, it's an entirely new plotline, same characters, and I think the characters themselves are pretty faithful to their motives and what they're like in books, so if that's important to you as well. For the show itself, I think it is a good show. It's very bingeable. There are only 8 episodes, and I personally really enjoyed it. I know some people have complained that it's a little bit fast. I know some people have complained that it's a little bit too YA. I mean, I think if you like The Vampire Diaries or any of those trashy teen shows and you are now looking for something that's a little bit more fantasy, a little bit more mature, it's basically a Netflix version of that. So it has Netflix quality and it is really good. Not the best show I've ever seen on Netflix, however, and I think it does lack some things, but that is what I think of the Shadow and Bone series without saying too much about it. I really enjoyed it. I think the cast absolutely nailed their performances and the acting is superb, so I think it is worth a shot and worth giving at least the first couple episodes a watch so you can see if you like it and enjoy it. And if you don't, well, that's fine too. So now I'm going to get into my spoilers. So from here on out, there are going to be spoilers for the Shadow and Bone series as well as the first book of the Shadow and Bone series. So if you haven't seen it and you are planning on seeing it and you don't want any spoilers, I would recommend saving this video for later and coming back to watch it. The Shadow and Bone series comes out today. It's already out actually, and I'm so excited. I can't wait. However, I am currently on stream with the Troublemakers. We stream every single Friday. I'm so excited. So excited, y'all. You have no idea. This is gonna be the vlog portion of me reacting to it. Obviously, as you know from the intro, I'm gonna be doing a review as well. I already did my spoiler-free review, and my spoilery thoughts will be coming in this vlog and then a wrap-up at the end. So I hope you enjoy watching me get a little bit crazy as we watch this. Today has been a huge day for shit coming out because it's April 23rd and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier finale aired, and it was so good. The RuPaul Drag Race season 13 finale is on tonight, and it's Shadow and Bone Day. I'm so excited. So yes, I will see you guys when I start watching. Y'all, I'm so excited. I'm finally getting to watch the first episode of the Shadow and Bone series. I'm so excited. Ooh. Okay, I just finished episode 1 and it's different from the books, but also not. As I suspected, they did bring in the crows really early. If you've read the books, you know that the crows are not actually in the original trilogy, which I'm not entirely sure how I feel about yet. I guess I'm just gonna have to wait and see. They don't really feel like the crows yet. The crows really, for me, need Wylan and Nina, and right now they just don't have those two. I do think including the Ketterdam and Kirch people early in relation to what Ravka is an interesting political thing, and I'm unsure of how they're going to incorporate. I mean, I guess I can see how they can incorporate after King of Scars and Rule of Wolves, but I'm just still unsure. I liked the first episode. I do think it's kind of funny that the whole stuff with like Alina going into the fold and being the Sun Summoner is like the first like 3 chapters of the first book, and like it took forever to like get to that point. Maybe that's just something that I'm thinking of because I feel like the books got to like the point a lot faster as opposed to like the end of the episode. And I get it because we're introducing the crows early and we're introducing the crows into Alina's story, but I don't really love that we learn that like she's the Sun Summoner from Alexei because he somehow got to Kirch, which I honestly don't know how that happened because he like stumbles out on East Ravka, and I feel like East Ravka would not have gotten rid of him, so don't really know how he got to Kirch, but not that it really matters. Those are just some thoughts I had. I'm about to start episode 2. I'm really excited. I really like Mal and the guy who plays Mal, and I really like Alina. I like that they made her half Shu. I think it makes sense for her character, and I think it makes sense considering the rest of the Grisha trilogy. And yeah, I guess I'm really excited to see where this rest of this goes. I can't wait to meet the Darkling, although they're calling him General Kerrigan, which is funny to me because General Kerrigan is a character in the Grishaverse. Like, he's in King of Scars. He's like friends with Nikolai, like kind of. And like his father is a general. I can't really remember a lot about Kerrigan's stuff because Kerrigan isn't a huge character in King of Scars. But it's kind of weird they gave the Darkling Kerrigan's name because like he's called the Darkling. I don't really understand why they called him anything but the Darkling. I don't really understand that narrative choice. I guess just to make people think that he's not evil. But like, I don't know, man. That was the other weird thing. I'm moving on to episode 2. So far, I enjoy it. It was a solid opening, and I think it was good for both fans of the books and people who are, this is the first they're like watching or knowing about the Grishaverse. I think it would hook both, so I think they succeeded in that area. On to episode 2. Okay, I finished episode 2. I think it's going a little bit too slow, and I understand why, because they need time to introduce the crows and like let the crows start to get towards Ravka, but also at the same time, I'm not entirely sure about the pacing. I think the pacing might be thrown off by the Crows plotline, but I do love Jesper, so I'm not totally mad. Jesper's great. I love Jesper 2 pieces. He is perfect. The actor is just doing amazing. He is absolutely Jesper to a T, and I'm so here for it. Jesper is one of my favorite characters from Six of Crows, and it's just so great to see him on screen being so like amazing. Like, I love that. But I do think Alina's story is going really slowly, which I'm not entirely sure why. I don't know, I'm just like not super invested in her story, even though her part is the one that I'm most fascinated by. Like, her part should be the most fun. I am a little bit surprised they haven't gone into General Kerrigan's backstory that he tells Alina in the first book, because after he kills the Driscoll in the book, he tells Alina a story about why the fold was created, and wish they would have put that in there. I think it makes a lot of sense to put it in, and I think it really does make General Kerrigan's character, or you know, the Darkling's character, more sympathetic in that moment. Like, I remember thinking about how sympathetic he was when he tells Alina the story, even though, spoiler alert, it's a lie. So I'm just really fascinated to see how they're going to try to make him sympathetic, and maybe I'm just a little bit jaded because I know who his character is and who he ends up being. So yeah, I'm excited to keep watching, but thus far, a little bit slow. Also, apparently this episode is called The Making at the Heart of the World, and yep, I get that reference. So maybe we're actually gonna get some Grisha powers shown. That would be nice. Also, I'm like really liking how each title card has been different. The first episode had the Sunburst, the second episode was like more like Heartrender, and then we got like actual Heartrender stuff, and then this is Crows. So I'm liking that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so I finished episode 3 and 4. I genuinely did not realize that I was all the way through 3 and had watched 4, and then I started 5 and I realized I hadn't updated y'all, and that's like the whole point of me doing these vlogs. What are my thoughts? I have some thoughts, and I'm not really sure how to articulate them. At the moment, don't think I love the fact that Alina is the one who tells the story of the Black Heretic. I think it makes more sense and is more powerful if the Darkling does, which I still don't want to call him General Kerrigan. It feels weird. Or Alexander, which apparently we do know his actual name. I like Mal a lot more than I did, but that's probably because we're actually seeing Mal's story happening alongside of Alina's instead of learning about it in letters. The Shadow and Bone book that I read is like the, a reprint of them. It's like a bind-up classic, not classic, but it's a bind-up of all three, and so there's letters that Mal wrote to Alina while he was tracking the Morozova stag. We saw the Morozova stag for the first time, which is really interesting. Those horns are fucking huge. I did not think about them being humongous like that, but I'm also thrown off by the fact that it's Genya. The way Alina pronounces Genya is weird to me because I pronounce it like Genya and she doesn't, like Grisha, and I pronounce it like with an E instead of Grisha, but that might just be the British accents. I just don't think I'm a humongous fan of the fact that they're bringing the crows into this season. I understand it's kind of necessary or else it's really short, but honestly, I kind of feel like you could have made the first and second book into one season. I mean, I get it. From like a show perspective, it doesn't make sense to just do the Grishaverse trilogy and then move to Six of Crows and like we don't have any idea of who the Six of Crows are. It doesn't really vibe with me. I do like that we're seeing Nina and Matthias. My favorite, my precious children. I really like that we're seeing them on the boat and it's pretty close to accurate based on the book. The only thing I think is that Matthias is going to let them go as opposed to Nina freeing herself, which I guess it makes sense for making people not hate Matthias, but I think it's more powerful if Nina frees herself with the cup, because she frees herself with a cup in Six of Crows. I am enjoying it. I think it's a good show. Ben Barnes is so hot. It's ridiculous, actually, how attractive that man is. Bagra looks way different than I thought she would. Not that I'm complaining, because I think the actress that's playing her is doing a really good job of, like, giving me Bagra energy, but she does not look like Bagra from what I remember. I also swear that in the books, she shows Alina that she is a Darkling as well. That's what I thought, but I could be wrong. It's been several months, so I'm probably not going to finish tonight because it's getting a little bit late. Or maybe I will, and you'll see me very tired. But yeah, we'll see how this episode goes. Okay. So I thought they had changed Nina's storyline, and I was gonna be like kind of mad, but I hadn't mentioned it yet because I didn't totally know what was going on with her and this new character Arkin or whatever. I'm on episode 6. Episode 5 is good. I should say that. I'll circle back to it. But when I almost said Ben Barnes. I mean, it is Ben Barnes, but like when the Darkling reveals that like Nina is his spy and Nina is working for him, like it felt like really good. I was like, even though I kind of hate the Darkling, but like I also really like that they kept Nina's character consistent because Nina is very much in the Ravkin war thing. So episode 5, I really liked. I think episode 5 has been my favorite thus far. I just think it's really fun. I am so glad they have basically kept the Darkling's story the same, which has been such a relief because I was really afraid they were gonna like not make him a villain and then half this vlog would be useless, but he is a villain and I'm so glad. Ooh! I love him as the villain, and we get to see more of his like true side, which I saw hinted at, and because I was looking for it obviously, but I'm so happy they actually kept all of it the same. And Bagra telling Alina who he is and revealing he is the Black Heretic and basically talking about how he's centuries old and he basically manipulated her, which is exactly what happens in the book. They also kept Bagra his mother, which I think is really important, and I didn't think they would get rid of, but you never know with adaptations. I think the beginning is a little bit slow still. I think it's interesting that they killed Marie this early, but I like that Fedier and Ivan are seemingly in a romantic relationship. I also like that we got to see Jesper's sexuality, and he like basically sleeps with that sable hand, which, you know, is very in character with Jesper. But I also cannot wait for Wylan, which we're probably gonna have to wait a while for, unless they decide to introduce the Vanek storyline next season. Obviously they can't this season, and I am really hoping we get more Nina and Matthias content because we haven't seen them in like 3 episodes, so like where are they at? I mean, I know where they're at. They're on a sea about to get fucking smashed by a storm, but I miss them because I love Matthias and Nina. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna get back to it because I bet after the scene we're gonna go back to Nina and Matthias and I'm gonna be like, why didn't I just wait? But hearing him, there's just something so satisfying about being like, yes, my favorite characters my favorite characters role in the story is still the same. Okay, so I just finished episode 7. There's one episode left. I'm still fairly interested in seeing how the addition of the crows in this last episode changes the events, because it has pretty much followed exactly the events of the first Shadow and Bone book, which I really appreciate in a adaptation. Yeah, I don't have too many thoughts other than I can't wait to watch this last episode. Yeah, I think Ben Barnes is acting the hell out of the fucking Darkling. It's so good. I'm really pleased with that. I think that's the best part of the adaptation is his portrayal of the Darkling, because like the thing about the Darkling is that he is really like sympathetic in a way. He's not entirely sympathetic because he's a power-hungry bastard, but I think he's doing a really good job of conveying what the Darkling is all about. I think the addition of the flashbacks to his past is a good addition. I know I read a story about him from the past in one of the editions in one of the books that I have, the same one, not the same one that had the Mal letters, but in a similar thing like that I think gives interesting context to the past of Ravka, and how even though Ravka like accepts Grisha now, they didn't always, and I think it shows a bit more of the complicated history of Ravka and Grisha in general, or Grisha, I keep calling him Grisha, and Genya, which Genya just throws me off. Can't wait to watch the last episode. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it tonight. I might watch it tomorrow morning because I am tired and it's late and I want to kind of have a very coherent thoughts about it when I finish. So I think I might save it for tomorrow, and then I will give you my final update on my actual like ending thoughts, and then we will do my wrap up. I can't believe it's almost over. I've been watching it for 7 hours, which is crazy because it's been going so fast. I think episode 4 through this one, 4 through 7, definitely had better pacing and more engaging plot lines than the first 3 episodes did. But I do get it. It's a fantasy series. They've set a ton of shit up so that like you understand what's happening. And as someone who's already read the books, like I already know what happens. So, I assume it's going to be really similar to the ending of Shadow and Bone, which is good because I think the ending of that book was really good. So, I will probably see you tomorrow. So, what did I think of the Shadow and Bone series as a whole? I know I didn't come back and update, but I did obviously watch the finale that morning after I woke up. I just looked really gross and didn't want to film, so I didn't. As a whole, I really enjoyed the Shadow and Bone series. I think it is a great adaptation, like I said in my beginning clips, but I do have a couple of problems that I'm going to get into. But first, let's talk about the things that I really like. Number one is not going to be a surprise to anyone. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before somewhere, but the casting of Ben Barnes as the Darkling is perfect. Perfection. I absolutely love the choice of Ben Barnes as the Darkling. Ben Barnes has the kind of face where you're not entirely sure how old he is. Like literally, he still looks like he could be like 25. And there's something really youthful and soft about him, especially as he acts around Elena. And I think Ben Barnes does a really great job of portraying this boy who's kind of falling in love with this girl who is believed to be the savior of this country that he loves so much. And I think he does it extremely well. Gives you those key moments where if you don't know what's going to happen already, you can see it as, oh, it's so soft and so nice and so romantic and like so cute. Like I love it. Like wow, they're going to be so good together. Like they're going to change the world. And then he is so different. Like, as soon as he reveals himself to Alina and you kind of realize who he is, and Baghra tells Alina who he is, we see this more vicious side of him, and I love it. And I love it because Ben Barnes really does bring you in with this performance and makes you believe that he is both good and evil. And that's the great thing about the Darkling, is he is both good and evil. Because while, yes, he does want to actually save his country, his means do not justify the end. Like, the things he is doing, the murders he's committing, makes him a terrible person. And it is really wonderful to see those little moments at the beginning of the series where he's either being like cruel to someone, or even when he's looking at Alina in the tent and he's unsure if she's actually the Sun Summoner, and the way he speaks to her, he is very clearly someone who holds himself with a lot of power and knows he has a lot of power, because he does. Because he's centuries old and has this immense power. So the choice of Ben Barnes is perfect. Especially contrasting Ben Barnes with Jessie May Lee, who is, let me double check here, 25, and Ben Barnes is nearly 40. It makes sense, especially with how youthful she looks, that they picked someone who looks youthful, but when you really learn about his character, it makes sense. They didn't pick someone who looks like they could be with Alina and it makes sense. Like, Mal and Alina look similar ages, and while yes, Ben Barnes is young, like he looks really young, like he looks much younger, especially when he's happy and with Alina, it still is this distinct age difference of like 15 years between actors, and then even further between the actual two characters, which I think I really appreciate, and I really think is something that is put into the books and is a really prominent part of the Shadow and Bone trilogy that I personally, when I read the books, I really enjoyed exploring that. I don't ship Dark Lena, I'm sorry, I physically cannot. It's literally just turns my stomach. But the Darkling is such an interesting and cool character, and I love the way that Ben Barnes took this character and gave him a lot of nuance and a lot of moments, and we really see him, I think, start to love Alina, and in his fucked up way that he loves, because he does love people. Like, he loves his country, he loves his Grisha, he loves his mother, and I think he does ultimately love Alina. I think the way that Ben Barnes used that as the Darkling really comes through and really gives us such an amazing performance, and I could not be happier, and I really think the Darkling makes this shit so good. I just also want to say that I love the performances from Jesse May Lee and Arnie Renault, is that his name? The guy who plays Mal. I really love both of their performances, and I think they did a really wonderful job creating this chemistry and a familiarity between them that makes it feel like they are childhood friends, because obviously Mal and Alina are childhood friends, and the way they interact and the way that they create this kind of narrative of what their lives were like pre-Alina becoming the Sun Summoner is really wonderful, and I think it really adds a lot to the story and is one of the fundamental parts of the Shadow and Bone trilogy that I really enjoyed. When it comes to the crows things, I think Inej and Jesper were flawless, perfect, could not be better, absolutely stunning, 110%. I love them so much. We'll get to Kaz in a second. I got some gripes. We'll keep it with the positive train. Speaking of, I really like the addition of the conductor and the addition of the scars on people's arms based on how many times they have passed through the fold. I think that is an incredible world building detail that we did not get in the books that I really think is really cool to add to the show. The conductor was an interesting and cool character. I think making the plotline with West Ravka and East Ravka more complex with the political system and gives more of a scope and a depth to the world that previously this book didn't have, because Alina it's in first person, so Alina is only focused on herself, and so we don't get to see these political machinations play out in the first book. But that does bring me into my first gripe. I genuinely think, and this may just be me being selfish, I genuinely think that they could have brought in Nikolai earlier. Prince Nikolai is the second son of the king. He is Nikolai is my favorite character. If you have read the books, I probably love Nikolai. Nikolai is an incredible character. He is so wonderful. I love Nikolai so much. But with the addition of Zlatan, the general guy for West Ravka, and with the things that are happening in West Ravka, I think it would have been a really good way to bring Nikolai in earlier, so you don't have to bring him in purely in the second season. I guess if you're trying to make book people come back and watch your second season, because I would watch your second season regardless of whether the first season was bad, because I love Nikolai that much. But I think it would have been such a great time to bring in Nikolai and give us Nikolai at a much earlier time, and bring in Stormhond and all of the characters with Dad, Toya, Tamar, all of those characters, and I think it would have given us some great things. But I can understand why they didn't. You want to save some stuff for the later in your series. It's fine. But I think it would have been really great to add, especially with the heightened political aspects of the series that weren't in the original book. My second gripe is unfortunately going to be Kaz, and I worried about this myself, and I think I understand why they're doing it, so it's less of a gripe and more of a disappointment from someone who knows Kaz from the books. So say they are keeping Kaz and Inej and Jesper's age the same as it was in Crows, because they don't look like they're 15. In the Six of Crows books, I'm pretty sure that they are 17 and 18, like that age. I think Matthias is 18, and so 2 years earlier they would have only been like 15, 16. I think that may be why they have aged up the characters. But I do have a little bit of a problem with Kaz, because Kaz just did not feel like Kaz to me. It's no fault of the actor. I think it's more of a fault of we are not inside Kaz's head in the show. I think what makes Kaz a successful and sympathetic character is the fact that we are in his head for a lot of the Six of Crows duology. So we understand how he thinks, we understand the plans he's coming up with, and just in general, the Crows plotline felt really rushed to get them to Ravka. We didn't really get to see him planning and scheming and coming up with a really elaborate plot to get Alina out of the little palace. We see a little bit of his scheming when he pretends to be the artist and they are going to steal the plans for the little palace so that they know where things are and they can do their stuff. I just really don't think there's much other than that that really shows how smart and intelligent Kaz is. I do really love that they kept to his character most of all. He's very closed off. He's very, the deal is the deal, brick by brick, gray morality sort of thing going on. And I like that they kept that true to his character, but I feel like there is still, they could have pushed it a lot further and they absolutely could have given Kaz more darkness. I wanted more dark. I wanted to feel like he's more of a bad guy. I wanted more of a villain edit for him. I think especially with Inej, we are shown a softer side of him almost immediately, so you never get to see the sharp iron that he shows the rest of the world. And I think that's what is missing, is this piece of him that is absolutely unforgiving, except when it comes to Inej. And I think we just saw that a little bit too early. I think this is going to go into book spoilery for Six of Crows, so please skip to this time stamp if you do not want to be spoiled for Six of Crows. In Crooked Kingdom, Inej is captured and she is subjected to torture from Jan Vanek. And what makes it so successful is that Kaz has kept his affection for her so under the radar that not even she thinks that he likes her. She literally says that, like, if she is broken, he will never come for her. That if she no longer can do him a service and be of service to him, she is worthless, essentially, which is the only reason that they don't break her legs, because Inej is a acrobat. She's very much someone who relies on doing acrobatics for her job. And I just think that that energy is really what's necessary, is her conviction that she does not think that Kaz loves her, because Kaz does. He loves all of them in his own way, but he's particularly in love with Inej, at least that's my thought. And I don't think we saw that. I think we saw way too much of his affection towards Inej, and I don't actually believe that he wouldn't like her. Like, I just wanted him to be less likable, which is ridiculous, but it's part of his character, and I think that's part of what would make it more successful going forward, is him being unlikable in the beginning, and I'm okay with hating him in the beginning, and then as we unveil and unwrap the layers of Kaz, we learn why he is this way, and that is what would make, it's a loud ass bird, probably a crow, no kidding. That's what makes him really enjoyable as a character. I just really think we should have seen him as an unlikable, villain-esque kind of character, and we just didn't, at least in my opinion. Which just really sucks, because I wanted, a really complex viewing of Kaz, and I wanted to wonder why the hell Jesper and Inej are near him, and like anyone, like literally I wanted it to feel more like a job and less like them becoming a family, because they're not really in the first book. Like, they really come to be closer through the events of the Ice Court in Six of Crows. So, my other large gripe about the series, I think, is pacing. I think all of the actors did amazing with the space that they were given, especially with Nina and Matthias's characters. I really felt like they were falling in love. I loved that so much. It's one of my favorite things from the books. It's so great. Love Nina and Matthias. But I just felt like the beginning was too slow and then the ending was too fast. I feel like we were revealed things way too fast, and we weren't given a chance to kind of breathe with the characters. I wanted more training with Alina becoming the Sun Summoner. I wanted her learning to use the cut. I wanted to see her train more with Bagra. I mean, we got like one training montage. Like, seriously, you're only gonna give me one Grisha montage? Like, I understand maybe if money was a consideration and they just didn't have the money or the time to do all of this fun montagey stuff, but I really think it would have been much better had we seen Alina and Mal separated for longer, because I think the longing would have been a lot better if we had seen Alina do more than just pine after Mal. I think we should have got to her point where she kind of is like, this is who I am, this is who I'm going to be, and here I am doing my magic and being healthier. And then obviously she meets up with Mal again and they have the whole thing with the stag, which is fine, but I just wish there had been like 2 more episodes. I think a 10 episode season would have been much better suited for the Shadow and Bone series as opposed to the 8. I also feel like they revealed the Darkling's name way too fast. I did not want them to reveal the name Alexander right away. I think that's just stupid. I don't know why they did that. It makes no sense to me. I don't think he would have done that. I think it would have been better if he gave her a fake name. Because in the 3rd book, there is a very, frankly a really beautiful moment between Alina and the Darkling where he tells her his name for a very specific reason. And that's what just when he told her his real name, I was like, fuck no, I don't want this. This is not where I want it. Don't want it. I do like the addition of showing him creating the fold. I think that's a really great addition, but I also think I didn't really care. I think that was the only problem. I did not really care about why he created the foal. I think they could have shown in a lot more detail and a lot more depth the persecution that all Grisha were going through, and I think if they had shown multiple points where he had to fight for the people that he is closest to and the people with powers, the Grisha, I think it would have been a lot better. And I also think that they should have shown more of the fact that Grisha before could control more. So this is kind of getting into later books and later aspects of the series that I think they could have put into this first season to play out better in the end, if that makes sense. Especially when it comes to Morozova's amplifiers, that's important. I did really like seeing Mal and the Darkling interact. I think that's so great. I think we can really see some parallels between them for more reasons than just one. Not gonna say anything, but there was just some things that I think could have been amplified or brought together better that would serve the series later on better if they do continue, which I'm thinking that it's probably going to be. Literally that's all we can talk about right now, but I really hope that there is a season 2. I really enjoyed it. As a lover of the books, I think it was really great, and I really love all the characters. I don't want to take up too much time talking about every single small nuance, so I'm gonna leave my review here. Those were the big things that I really thought about it. On a whole though, I think it's a spectacular adaptation, and I think it was done beautifully. I think all the actors were absolutely supreme. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it was good. I'm really glad that Netflix decided to make this series, because Netflix or HBO are really the only two I can think of that would make a accurate and really good adaptation of this series. So I'm really glad they decided to take a chance with this and run with it, and I'm so happy for Leigh Bardugo and this book series. I'm so happy. I hope we get a season 2 so we get to see Nikolai. That's all I want. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a like down below. If you want to see more reviews for things from me, let me know down in the comments, and definitely give this video a like so I can do more reviews in the future. If you want to see more of my rambling face, you can subscribe down below as well. I post writing and book related content every single Thursday, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!